Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the B Team podcast. I apologize. Right when we started the countdown, I swallowed spit down the wrong place here. We are brought to you by Drake's Place, part of the Splitting Hairs podcast group, and Jackrabbit Illustrated. We're also brought to you by our other title sponsor, Cottonwood Bistro, and we are part of the FCS Fans Nation network of podcasts. But again, sorry for the red eyes and the hoarse voice. Toss it over to you, Ben, while I try to fix myself here.
What's up, guys? Good to see you. Back from my hiatus. I went on a long trip and had some fun, but
talk about it a little bit.
I mean, that
looked like a wicked game.
But, yeah. So the Iowa-Penn State game is where I was at. The tailgating scene there is amazing. We got there about an hour early so I could sit down and try to watch the SDSU game. Wi-Fi wasn't great, but the game is amazing. We sat front row, so we rushed the field at the end of the game, and so that was a good time. But it stung for a while, after watching SDSU lose. Well, I didn't get to watch it much, but I was talking to a buddy that was, and so that stung. But it was a lot of fun. And then on Sunday we went to the Vikings game. That game was nuts too, and then on Monday night we went to a concert. So. Big weekend, but
wow.
I'll take some of the blame for SDSU losing since I wasn't there to cheer them on. But
I'll take some too because I put blue shit in my beard. Oh, blue stuff in my beard.
Well, and I'll take a little bit. I didn't play my customary song going into the tailgate, and I didn't play it until later at the tailgate. But I think it's mostly Ben's fault. If we're being honest, it's mostly Ben's fault.
I'll take it.
You forgot your flagpole standard too, so
yeah, I forgot my flagpole stand. It was a hot mess. I mean, to be fair, I had just moved into the house 3 days before. To be fair, you know. But it's that was a rough game. It definitely didn't lack in entertainment. But that game was it. It felt like in that first quarter, even though we were killing them, that not scoring on those touchdowns on those drives could come to bite you. It wasn't that strong of a feeling, but all of a sudden they started rolling. And then really that second half hit. And we scored points, but the offense was barely on the field. I haven't looked at the time of possession split. I should have, because it felt like it was Southern Illinois the whole time, which, listening to the postgame and Coach Stig and his reasoning for going for 2 was we really couldn't afford to do a drawn-out overtime game with the defense already having played the entire second half on the field for so many plays. It made a lot more sense. The logic made a lot of sense to me as to why he did that. Because what, are you going to put him out there for 4 more? And I mean, that would just the way that game went wasn't a good fight at that point, personal opinion. So it made sense to me. But yeah, that was tough to watch. It wasn't tough to watch. It was tough at the end, I should say, because it's not like it was like, it was bad football.
Well, and I know
so overall
Sorry, go ahead, Ben.
Go ahead, Chad.
I just
overall time of possession that you mentioned was even, but it was very lopsided early towards us and then towards them second half. So that attributes to what you were talking about with the defense being so tired. The third quarter, I think Southern Illinois had the ball for like 11 and a half minutes out of 15.
Sheesh.
And so that just is going to wear a defense down. And honestly, credit to them. I mean, they were doing a bunch of no huddle stuff to make it so that we couldn't sub guys in and out. And that's what you have to do against us to have a chance, I think. Otherwise, our guys are too fresh. And it's just kind of a weird game that way because, it wasn't because they were just dominating us, but it was because we had quick scores. We had, the return for a touchdown that was quick, and then the Pierre Strong 85-yard touchdown. And it's like, those are great things to happen, but it just doesn't give our defense a rest.
Yeah, that Pierre Strong run I'm sitting next to Chad, and we're like, God, we need to run the ball and score. And we need to run the ball and score. Well, we ran the ball and we scored like it was an 85-yard pass play anyways. And we're just like, yes, but also kind of a little tiny bit no.
Too much.
A little tiny bit no.
Right.
But
yeah, you had literally said that right before that play. Like, we really need to grind out some clock with the run. And, we were having relative success with the run. And it seemed like, I don't know, it seemed like we were kind of trying to be too cute sometimes.
Oh,
it
certainly.
seemed like we were really focusing on the pass because we thought they were going to try and take the run away, which they did try to do. But, I mean, we were fairly effective with the run, the plays that we were running, well. We had a couple missed blocks that really screwed up a play or two. There's a lot of things we could point out, little things that would make huge difference.
Definitely on getting cute. I think especially in the first half, kind of into the second quarter, there were times where, we were just dominating them on offense, and then we'd run like a cute play and it wouldn't work. And those things are fun and they're great when they work, but at the end of the day, it's like you need to keep the ball and you need to keep rolling, and those things will hurt you. So I don't know. I feel like you see teams pull those things out when they're not having success otherwise. So I don't understand why we felt the need to pull those out in this game, because we were doing great.
The first one that comes to mind is, right before we missed that field goal, they did like a shovel pass to.
They tried the Patrick Mahomes play.
They tried that, right to the tight end. I think it was Tucker Kraft, and he was right in the middle of three defenders and one guy trying to block him, and he basically didn't. I don't know. It was just, we were trying to be cute. I like seeing Pierre Strong throw touchdowns. He had a real nice throw on the run. It was a better throw than his last touchdown for sure. But I don't know. Do we need to have our best running back throwing the ball a bunch? I can do without it as long as we're scoring with him.
I think on that one there, you're just going to get up and try to get on him early in that play call, in that scenario. You just want to jump on him. And normally you'd think a 20-point game, the 20-point lead, you'd be pretty safe, especially with the offensive weapons we have and everything like that. But I had a buddy text me. He's like, man, hell of a game. They almost came back. Hey, this was at halftime. And I said, yeah, we should be killing them, but that offense is so explosive. And, it's really amazing to me, all the Jacks fans out there, who are watching us and watched that game. We did not play well. There was just a ton of mistakes. There's tons of major mistakes that happen from, interceptions, turnovers, inopportune penalties, some calls and things like that. Like across the board, there was a lot of things that really did not go well. And, I know from our standpoint as Jacks fans and things like that, it's a real bitter pill to swallow when that game happened, and it feels really bad on the season. But we got to remember, we played that poorly overall, really realistically for 3/4 of the game, and lost by 1 point in overtime, going for 2 with a chance to win at home when against the number now 4 team in the nation, who, like, Southern Illinois is a really good team. There was a lot of plays that they made that were just plays. Like, you can't even be mad at the defensive back. That one-handed catch down the sideline that was ludicrous. We watched that play. Right, you watched that play happen live, and everybody was mad that they called it a catch, but then you watch the replay and you're like, holy shit, that was a catch. My God, that was incredible,
And it was great coverage, too, so our defender couldn't have done much more.
James Lee Clark says they should have ran the ball more to open up the pass. Yeah, I think so. I think a little bit of this game, I don't know about you guys, but this game to me had a lot of a feel about a lot of feel like the UND game, except I think Southern Illinois is far better than UND was last year, where we kind of fell in love with ourselves a little bit, even though we had success with the running game. Now, we do have to remember 85 of Pierre's 168 yards or so came from one play. So outside of that, we had 85 yards rushing, and he ran the ball 99% of the time. Amar got a couple carries. We weren't just absolutely bulldozing them with the running game. It's something that's important to remember. But yeah, it did feel a little bit like we fell in love a little bit with being tricky and things like that.
Yeah, and you mentioned the UND game. That was one where they just had a lot of things go right, and I think that is very similar to this game where Southern Illinois had a lot of things go right. They had, a missed kick and then a very low. I mean, we can call it a block kick, but that was basically a missed kick too because it was way too low. And then you have the fumble when we were about to go up by, well, I think that would have been our second touchdown, but
right.
Yes, it would have been.
And then the catches on the sideline, they're crazy. I mean, yeah, it's players making plays, but also like one or two of those don't happen and the game is completely different. And then the last one is that they were down by 14 and they were driving and we forced a fumble. The fumble bounces like between 3 SDSU guys and it bounces right into the hands of the one
Right.
SIU guy in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth and 4, they throw a touchdown on the next play. So, I
Mhm.
mean, like, if we recover that fumble, the game's probably over. Like,
Yep.
I mean, so there were a lot of things that had to go right for them to pull that off. But, again, credit to them. Dustin Helton asks here, do you think SDSU is getting tired? They played the most games this calendar year. Maybe they're just wearing out. Also, SIU doesn't suck. I don't think they're getting tired. I think it was more of the fact of they just the time of possession really stacked up on them in the second half, and then SIU running up tempo, no huddle, no subs. I think that, and it's something that our guys aren't used to. A lot of the times teams are used to having guys playing most of the game. We're not used to that, especially on the D line where we're shifting guys in and out all the time, so they're just not used to playing the whole game.
Yeah,
Well,
we typically do like a hockey line change and change out the front four. That makes a big difference when you don't get that rest that you're accustomed to.
That, and is it possible? I think it's plausible a little bit on the injury front, not the ones from the first 4 games, but just watching this game, the amount of defensive backs and just players. Something important to remember: Logan Backus didn't play this game.
Correct.
And now
we got beat over the middle on a lot of short throws.
And, when you have, especially against teams like Southern Illinois, that fast backer senior presence is incredibly important. But, that his injury is one where I haven't really heard him say what it is, but he's flying to Western Illinois and he might play. Now, that sounds to me like it might be a wear and tear injury that he might be battling the rest of the season, and then the amount of I swear to God, if we're using the cramping thing to slow down plays, like somebody's got to say that's.
I don't
gross.
think we are.
You guys mentioned that.
I don't know if it was that. Like, we had dudes down a lot, and some of them were for sure real deals. Because we haven't had to play a full game all year until this game, and I don't think that was advantageous to us at all.
Right. No, I agree. You guys mentioned that when I rewatched it, I just didn't. The times that they happened, it just wasn't. It wasn't that. Those were real. If anybody watched the Iowa Penn State game, Penn State did that like completely on purpose. Every time Iowa got a 10+ yard play, Penn State guy would be down with a cramp. He'd hop up. He'd be back in the next play. It was egregious. But anyway. Scott Russ says, agreed, we need to clean it up now. Meat grinder schedule's coming. Glad we got this loss out of the way now. Yeah, I mean, it's humbling. I mean, it's gotta humble the guys. I think, going to the championship, having everybody back, I think our guys were, thinking pretty highly of themselves, and rightfully so, but you gotta realize that you're gonna get everybody's best shot now. So, we gotta kind of refocus and regroup.
That's super truthful, and especially, I mean, think about how the season started. The Colorado State game everybody was incredible. Like, I don't think it was necessarily the best this team could play. It's certainly the best we've played all season. and it showed exactly how good that could go. While Ben tries to avert the camera while he goes and swipes another beer from the fridge quick. But no, and then like kind of progressively, right? The performances, we were winning by a lot, but it seemed like things got looser, for lack of a better term, a little bit less focused. The penalties started to occur that were not necessary to have happen. The offense wasn't as sharp, things like that. So I think I think this was very much, I don't want to call it a good loss because that makes the rest of the season to get even a top 4 seed pretty difficult with how good the FCS is this year. But I think this could be something that we look back on and go, that wasn't the worst thing that happened.
It's certainly a wake-up call, that's for sure. And I hope the team uses it and actually cleans up those penalties, because we thought maybe they'd do that with the Dixie State game with as many penalties and as sloppy as we played there. But, obviously they didn't clean it up enough. And there's so many missed opportunities that would have changed the game because it was such a close game. Stig says, 1 to 3 plays that make the difference in the game. Heck, we had half a dozen of them that we could have changed the entire game with. It sucks to lose one like that for sure, because you're so close to winning. But I don't know. I guess we got second seed last year with one loss, but just the way we lost, I think that's what's dropped us so far in the polls on this one. We were up so far in that game. And like you pointed out in the stands, we weren't really comfortable with the game and felt that the tempo was, or not the tempo, but the momentum wasn't really necessarily there, even though we were up by that much. And that momentum's a big part of football, and they got it. And
you talk about plays that change the game. I referenced that fumble that we had in the red zone where it looked like kind of a broken play, like Strong and Oladokin bumped into each other.
Mm-hmm.
Did they not have review for this game?
They did. I think they reviewed it. I just watched that play, and Chris reached out with the ball, and if he wouldn't have done that, it wouldn't have been a fumble. So he ran into him, got around him.
But did they actually review it?
I don't think. Well, did they?
Did.
I don't think
said so on the. Well, maybe they didn't, but he clearly fumbled
on the broadcast. They didn't say that they reviewed it, and the one replay that I saw, he was reaching out, and I swear his knee was down before the ball came out. But that is just weird to me that they didn't review it, and maybe that was only on the broadcast. But then that the helicopter play where we knocked the ball out of that guy's hands, how did that not get reviewed?
I don't know. I know it is part of the Valley's I don't know, media, or it's part of the Valley bylaws or whatever for broadcasting your home games. You've got to have certain definition cameras, yada, yada, yada. And one of them is you have to have replay capability for all your games. Yeah, so I know it was available. I think they did replay. They did do a replay. That game, and James E. Lark, Jr. says, we already knew they were going to lose one game. I see the Jacks win the rest of the schedule. And, realistically, I didn't. I picked us to go undefeated, I think. And when Ben and I were talking about that, Ben didn't pick a loss. I think, Ben, you might have picked this game. And
I don't know.
Looking back, picking this game, if someone were to pick us to lose a game, this one makes the most sense because I can't remember anyone who's played within a calendar year the same team 3 times. I mean, this is well less than a calendar year realistically. I think this is 7 months that we've played them 3 times, something like that. So in 7 months, we played them 3 times, smoked them, hurt their pride, beat them in a real close game and came back on them. And then, you got a good team 3 times that's real motivated. And let's be honest, they're probably more motivated over this game than we were because we didn't have the bitter taste in our mouth from losing to them. They had it for us. There was no way they were going to let this one go without a fight. We should have known that before, even if it was 20-0. So this makes sense. The only thing that normally a 1-loss season, you still got a really good shot at a top 2 seed. But if you look across the subdivision right now, there is a lot of really high there compared to normal years. There's 6 to possibly 10 teams who could have a top 8 seed argument. So getting a top 2 seed is going to be incredibly difficult.
Yeah, and it gets real interesting because Southern Illinois avoids playing NDSU this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so
and
with those
USD, who looks begrudgingly decent.
Right. And so Southern Illinois, the rest of their schedule isn't that bad. I don't know if I can call it cakewalk. They got Northern Iowa on there at Northern Iowa, so that one's definitely not a cakewalk.
Yeah, it's not a cakewalk.
Other than that one, though, their schedule looks pretty decent. And so, let's say that we beat NDSU and then Southern Illinois just doesn't have another loss. I mean, they
win the Valley.
They're going to win the Valley. They're going to be higher seeded than us, and we're not going to be a top 2 seed, maybe not even top 4, because like you said, there's a lot of parity in the FCS and there's a lot of top teams. James Madison losing helps, but
it does.
Well, and listening to Sam Herder's podcast before earlier this week, it doesn't. It's entirely possible. I mean, look what happened last year with UND. We went through. They had one. I think we had the same number of losses because we tied for the conference title. They beat us. They had one loss, but we won out and were far more impressive at the end of the season. We got the higher seed than them. So it's entirely possible that could happen. And as Dustin says, SIU has the easiest path to a top 3 seed. I would agree, at least in the Valley. Dustin, obviously, our friend from the Straight Outta Whack podcast on the FCS Fans Nation, shout out here. But he also appeared on the FCS Fans Nation deal or podcast, and he had if you're an SDSU fan, go listen to it. He had some very wise words that we should all take to heart, and it was basically, calm down. You got a lot of season left. You can still win a national title. A lot of teams have won national titles with one loss.
Yeah, I mean, it's different if we lose that game to, I don't know, Youngstown State or Indiana State. Like, we lost it to Southern Illinois. Like, they haven't been a perennial top 10 team, but they are a top 10 team this year. That offense is 100%. Very, very, very good.
I do see them playing up and down to their competition a bit, though. So, like,
sure,
because there's teams that they shouldn't have been close with based on that offense, that they were, close in the end of the game. We just got to take care of business. I mean, I wouldn't be all that surprised. UND could give them a run for their money next game, but I was going to say.
Well, they might because they're desperate, but it's on the road, so I don't really.
The Undies don't win on the road.
Yeah, it's just not their thing. Look, they lost at USD, and Southern Illinois is a far superior team to USD, and I'm actually not throwing shade at USD either. That's just the facts. Like, if I want to throw shade at USD, I just say USD. That's throwing shade. But
Lenore's a top 10 guy in the subconference and in the FCS. There's no doubt.
Yeah, the guy's a monster. But
you saw his one-handed catch.
Yeah, that was freaky. That was freaky impressive. But going forwards, we should be big. Anybody who plays Southern Illinois fans, but you only want them to lose like twice, because if they lose 3 or 4 times, then it starts to look like a bad loss. So we want them to just lose like a little bit, and then
probably to Northern Iowa. If they just lose in Northern Iowa, it'll be good.
And if they look bad doing it.
Yeah.
And that's at the Unidome, so that place
that's
can give people fits too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One good thing, two good things. One, Pierre Strong, just a beast. Check out, I retweeted, there's some some NFL draft guy that thinks he's the top running back in the 2022 NFL draft class, which is pretty cool. High accolades there. He's got to keep showing it, but he's on the right track right now. And then the other thing, Adam Bach, especially with Backus being out, we needed somebody to step up. And that guy was all over the field. Like, he had 17 total tackles. And, man, he was flying everywhere. So kudos to him, and he's really fun to watch right now, and he's kind of the next up and coming stud linebacker, like it seems like we always have.
You can't really say anything bad about our defense. They stepped up every time we needed them to, and they played lights out for that game.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you got to say is we were in the right position to get the quarterback in the backfield, and we just didn't hold on to him. If we clean that up, we win that game by 3 to 4 scores.
Yeah,
there were so many plays that, and credit to him, slippery dude, athletic, but man, there was the last drive, Spalding had him dead to rights, and he makes that play and it's over.
Yep.
And so, just so many plays like that where it's just like finish it and be done with it and move on. So, yeah.
Well, I don't want to get repaired up with them in the playoffs. That's not I would prefer not to face Southern Illinois in the playoffs just because, they scare me. I think we're a better team than them, obviously, but there's years where we're a far better team than them, and they still give us a run for our money with their offense. And so I would prefer to avoid that team if we could.
They've always had a good offense, but this year is different. Like they've got legit running backs, and they've got a quarterback that can scramble and throw fairly well, and they've got stud wide receivers that like all he has to do is throw it up at the sideline and they go make a play. And when you've got that, like you can score 40, 50 points a game, and other teams just got to keep up with you. So they're tough to stop. Yeah, Josh Hoffman said Nick Baker's Doug Flutie 2.0. He played well.
And shout out to Robert Drake. Yeah,
the man, the legend.
Yeah, one of our sponsors. Hey man, how's it going? Sam Houston, he says, has the easiest path to top 3 seed. Hard to argue against that.
If you guys are wondering, he is the Drake of Drake's Place. So he was our first title sponsor. So number 1 in my heart. Anyways, get down there. He's got the Jackrabbit theme menu. They're coming out with new stuff all the time. And I tell you what, that does not look like convenience store food. That is some real deal stuff they got going on there. So get your butts up the bottle and get some food.
That's right. Go ahead and put up Dustin's. Sam Houston doesn't have the strength of schedule for a top 3 seed. Of course, if SDSU wins the marker, then it helps Sam. Do you want that?
Yes, I do.
Yes, we all do. We know you hate Sam, Dustin. We get it. But
I would sacrifice every Bison soul on an altar for even if it did help Sam. Wins. I don't want to actually. I don't want to kill that team. I don't want like people who cheer for that team to die. I have friends who are misguided. I have friends who are misguided. Yes, just
kill their spirit.
Some of them are agnostic anyway, so
I want them to just die on the inside because I know that because you die on the inside when you lose that game. You die like a little bit when you lose that game. So I want them to die on the inside.
All right. Well, anything else on the SIU game before we move on?
No, I think I've dwelled on the loss quite enough. Thank you very much.
All right.
I'm so overjoyed to get to talk about a loss after the Brewers lose 2 in a row in the NLDS and get wiped out. So
the Twins aren't even playing, man.
I'm quite good. You know what? It's easier that way. I swear to God, I've been a Brewers fan my entire life. You know how easy it is when it's just baseball's over. You don't care anymore. It was so weird to care about baseball during football season.
Yeah.
And then if you're at that point, you're emotionally invested. So now I'm actually putting effort in. And then to have them lose, it's like, just be 500 and suck if you're going to be that way. God damn it. I'm still bitter. I'll get over it around April. But anyways, not bitter about football. Yeah.
Well, what I am bitter about is our picks.
I'm going to blame you for all of these.
We gone and went 1-5 against the spread.
Oh, both of us?
Yeah. Yeah, if you do that,
not great, Bob.
I hope nobody followed our picks, which this fantastic segment, the B team picks, which normally is great, but we'll do better this week. It is brought to you by Jackrabbit Central and Shenanigans Pub. Jackrabbit Central is awesome, as we always say. They have all the best Jack's gear. Shenanigans Pub is SDSU Central in Sioux Falls. Go to watch away games there and just go there all the time because they're a great place and they always got Jack stuff hanging around and just kind of makes you, honestly, it makes you feel like you're in Brookings a little bit just because there's so much Jack stuff around. So it's a cool atmosphere there.
We might have to tootle down there for the game against Western.
Yeah, they got some shirts on sale too.
And they got shirts there. So
I don't have anything going on Saturday. This might happen. Shenanigans. We may see you on Saturday.
Indubitably.
All right. So we're gonna do
free beer.
we'll recap our picks quick. Villanova went to JMU's house and beat them 28-27. That was a very good game and a huge upset, just as big as the SIU over SDSU one, with really, really big implications. JMU's, do they even have a path to a top 4 seed anymore?
Because their name's James Madison, maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, honestly, that's probably what it is. Because
East Coast
if you go through, you look at the CAA. Delaware sucks without that quarterback. If you want to talk about a player that was his name, Henderson for Delaware, their quarterback, that dude who just he just kept getting up and taking a beating. I'm pretty sure he's hurt-ish. Like he's playing for like a couple plays, or he's like on a pitch count of plays, and depends on the game and how he's feeling. So that one certainly feels to me like hangover from the spring season. Like he might have something lingering from that game against SDSU. Honestly, I think like that honestly carried over on him because he got hammered so bad. And now he's just broken. So Delaware's not going to be ranked probably. I don't think they really have a ranked team that'll be ranked at the end of the year left on their schedule. So James Madison could be in some trouble. But on the flip side, Villanova could very well have a track to a top 4 seed because they don't have a whole lot of tough games left.
Yeah, that is an interesting implication of that game. There was quite a bit of shakeup. There were those two, I guess 1 and 3, depending on what poll you're looking at. UC Davis also lost against Idaho State, which was, I mean, UC Davis must have been reading the headlines because everybody was like, oh man, UC Davis is going to be a top 2 seed. Like they got a straight path. And it's like, oh, see ya. But so they
still
lost.
Cause some serious havoc.
Yeah. And then numbers 10 through 13 also lost. So 7 of the top 13 teams lost. It was kind of a crazy weekend in the FCS. But the other games that we picked were the Missouri Valley games. Indiana State showed up against Western Illinois, a team that had some momentum. Indiana State was the dog and covered 37-27. They won by. Youngstown State beat Missouri State, and they were also a dog. Missouri State was a 7.5-point favorite, and they lost by 8. And NDSU took care of business. They won 34-20. I was hoping you and I would have a little better showing, but they just couldn't get it done. Did you guys get a chance to check out that game at all?
No. I do have a question pertaining to that game. Did I text you in time before that game happened?
You definitely did not. I mean, cool. Yeah. No, I don't know. It could have been my reception, but I did not receive it until after the game had started. So no, you don't owe me any money.
That is the hand of God coming down and helping me out there with the cell interference for me. Holy crap.
There you go. And then we had USD with that was a big win for them. UND was ranked 14, and USD won 20-13. They didn't cover the spread. UND covered the spread there. That was literally the only pick that we got right, was UND barely covering the spread. And then obviously SDSU did not cover the spread. That was 13.5. But as we talked about, I mean, a few plays go a different way, and we win by 14-21, like we thought we would. So, just I don't know, got to finish the game there.
Well,
go ahead.
Any comeback loss or victory, you have to have a bunch of things go right. That one thing could have derailed it, and that's just the way that goes. What's interesting to me is I think Indiana State, that might have tied Western Illinois for their worst loss of the year as far as points go.
What?
Because they were really close to Eastern Washington. They only lost to Ball State by 10 as well.
Right. Let me see. I got that pulled up.
Oh, you're saying it was Western Illinois' worst.
Western Illinois.
What they
No, they
largest
lost.
margin
they
of
lost
defeat.
No, they lost 7-42 against Montana.
Ah, there's the one. Good for you, Montana. You're still below us in the poll, losers.
Speaking of the poll,
Because that loss didn't count, right?
Chad, do you have
Right.
that poll
I
pull
don't
up by
have that.
chance?
You want me to pull that up?
Be
I
pretty
I have it
nifty.
in a text thread, so.
Come on, producer guy. What are you doing? Good God. You bring a guy on for this, and what does he do?
I mean, he's doing great.
He's like a
working on
live
it.
studio audience, right?
I'm trying to be quiet over here,
No,
I'll get there.
This show is filmed in front of a live studio audience. Do we have to start putting a disclaimer on our picks about how this is for entertainment purpose only? Please don't follow our advice and then blame us for you losing your child's, college funds or.
I feel like you used to have to do that, but now everybody's talking about it. So,
There it is.
oh, he just won up me. I pulled up the AGS one, but he pulled up the FCS Fans Nation one. So yeah, they've got they put up NDSU up to 1, Eastern Washington and Sam Houston tied at 2, Southern Illinois bumped up to number 4, and then you got Villanova and then SDSU at 6. And then for other Valley teams, you have to go down to 13 for Northern Iowa and 19 for South Dakota and 21 for North Dakota. Looks like Missouri State fell out after losing. So, yeah, good for Southern Illinois. I mean, they bumped up into the top 5.
Yeah. Well, he should have.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think that's about the right amount of movement. Personally, I would have dropped us a little more just looking at our resume. Yeah, we got the Colorado State win, but that's not like a great FBS win. We looked really good, but otherwise we don't have a whole lot. Montana's FBS win is realistically better than ours.
Yeah.
And I think we should be ahead of James Madison for sure. I don't think NDSU should be number 1 over Eastern Washington personally. I do think we're getting a huge amount. I think we get, what's interesting? I think we get more credit for the national championship game than Sam Houston does. Because if Sam Houston were to lose, I feel like if Sam Houston lost to, say they'd lost to UCA or somebody, I think they would have plummeted to 9 or 10.
Yeah, but I mean, also not a top 10. They don't play top 10 teams, so they can't.
Well, right.
They can't lose and have only slide a little bit. If they lose, they're falling. As far as how far we fell, I think it was about right based on, we had that game in the bag. We only lost by 1 in overtime against a team that's worthy of a top 5 ranking. So I think it was about right.
Realistically, the only people that you could really put against us on this one would be Montana has a reason to be ahead of us, but not so much the rest. So,
in theory, East Tennessee State did beat Vanderbilt, which is an SEC win. I think the reason they hang out down there is that happens when there is an extent of earned respect from prior years that does matter.
Certainly.
I don't trust East Tennessee State to keep on this roll. They're probably going to drop a game. They've had a bunch of close games, and then when they do, they'll drop to the 15-16 range. For a team like them to get through would be like what Colgate did when they allowed some obscene 30 yards of rushing a game or something and went through the season undefeated. I don't think East Tennessee State's going to particularly do that.
Right. So as far as picks this week go, we've got one out-of-conference game. It's Montana State going to Weber State. That's number 9 versus number 16.
Mm-hmm.
Montana State's only favored by 1.5.
Going into that game, the only reason to me that's a little bit scary is because Weber State's just playing for their playoff lives at this point. we're not even talking to seed with them. Then this was a former top 10 team, and they're playing for their playoff lives just like UND is now at this point. So I'm really inclined. I'm going to go with Weber State, or not Weber, with Montana State, the other one, the Kitties. We're going to go with the Kitten Cats to take that one, and I think a little bit handily because Weber, they just don't have enough of an offense, and I don't think their defense is. I don't think you're able to rely on their defense like you were in the past because the FCS is that notch higher this year due to the COVID and everything like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Only at 1.5 there. I think it's a fairly easy pick for Montana State. If it was up above 3, I think it'd give you a little pause with Weber State being at home. But yeah, I'll go with Montana State there as well.
I would take Montana State by 10.
There you go. First Valley game we got is Indiana State, fresh off their win, going to Missouri State. Still not getting much respect, though, in the spread department. Missouri State's favored by 16 at home.
I think this is going to be a get-right game for Missouri State. By 16 at home, yeah, I'll take the Bears. Why not? I think they're going to be pissed off.
I don't know. I mean, that loss to Youngstown State doesn't look great. I mean, Missouri State was looking good, but I'll take Indiana State to stay within 16. I think they'll lose by 10 to 14.
I'm with you on that.
Okay, you hear that, Coach Petrino? You got to run the score up for me here because that's a big game I need to make. That's going to help me make up. You're going to bury me if you screw this up there. I'll get you a motorcycle. No, I won't get. It won't be a nice motorcycle. He's going to crash it anyways.
So that's terrible.
Too soon? Not too soon.
No, it's not too soon.
Another big spread is NDSU going to Illinois State. NDSU is favored by 21.5. Illinois State had a bye last week.
What's interesting is Illinois State sucks.
They are pretty bad.
They are worse than I expected.
Like, at first when you saw that they were the Illinois team that, because we don't play them this year, if I remember right? They're the team we have dropped off the schedule.
I believe you're right. Yes.
Yeah. Normally you'd be like, all right, at least we get a little breath of fresh air, and then sure, Southern Illinois got to get their shit together.
Right.
I'm going to take NDSU. No, I'm going to change that. I'm going to take the Redbirds because I think they won by a decent margin, but that UNI NDSU matchup has a little bit of the marker game flair to it where the teams are beat up. And I think a 21-point win might be a bit much, especially I'm not sure if Christian Watson's going to play after getting KO'd with a T-bone to the temple.
Yeah, they righted that call, didn't they?
Yeah, no fan base can complain quite like that fan base. So, you win. And
they're better at everything. Just ask them.
It's still all over headlines. So, whatever. They do what they do.
Yeah, I feel like this is a bit of a sucker bet here with 21.5. It seems like you should probably take Illinois State at 3 touchdowns. I am going to do it because it just doesn't seem like this NDSU team is going to be blowing teams out a whole lot. But yeah, I'll take Illinois State 20 plus 21.5.
I'll take NDSU in the points. I think they run them down in the fourth quarter. I don't think they wore themselves out versus you and I quite like you guys might.
You saying we're suckers, Ben? Is that what you're saying?
Yep. Yeah. Well, clearly
1-5 last week. That would show that we might be. That's entirely plausible. I mean, those were Fade Brendan results right there.
Yeah, those are poor. Then we've got UND going to Southern Illinois. Southern Illinois is favored by 11. That's a tough line.
That's a good line. That is a tough line, man. That is.
I think that Southern Illinois. I don't know. I'll take UND plus 11. Like Chad mentioned, Southern Illinois seems like a team that kind of plays to the competition.
Yeah,
I'll take UND there.
Yeah, I think you won me over with that last bit there, because otherwise you're choosing between, is Southern Illinois gonna come out fired up, or is UND gonna get them coming down after a big win? So I'll go with UND on that game. I think if Southern Illinois plays to their potential, they beat them by 20.
Oh, for sure.
But I'm gonna bet on a desperate UND team to keep it close. Although if Southern Illinois jumps on them right away, they could fold. I could totally see the Hawks folding.
Yeah, I mean it's really a prove it game for UND. I mean they only lost by 6 to NDSU and they only lost by 7 to USD, but now you're 0-2 in Valley play.
Mm-hmm.
And you're 2-3 overall. So you got to start putting some wins together. Otherwise, you're going to be out of the playoff picture real quick. And then for Southern Illinois, it's more of a letdown game after a huge game against us. And then they've got a huge game going to UNI next week. So it's kind of a tricky spot for Southern Illinois and kind of almost a must win for UND. So I think UND comes out fired up in this one. I would not like to see UND win. Because that would make our Southern Illinois win-loss look worse. But I think UND puts up a fighter.
Yeah, I think it's a classic trap game, and they only win by 10 at the most.
Yep. And then we've got USD coming off their big win. They're ranked 19th in the poll now, and they go to UNI. This will be a real interesting game to kind of see where USD is actually at.
Mm-hmm.
You know, are they for real, or they're just kind of pretenders right now. UNI is favored by 9.5.
9.5. Woof.
I take that because I think UNI is going to win by at least 10. USD, anytime they've been in the rankings, has just blew it right away. So paper tiger.
Yeah, I think for me, the reason I'll take it is more that it's at the Unidome. If this was in Vermilion, I would take the Coyotes, but in the Unidome, USD's fairly similar to UND that way. They're only good in their dump, so I will take UNI, the Panthers.
Yeah, the only reason it gives me pause is, like you said, they just had that NDSU game. They might be a little beat up. However, yeah, I think that USD comes back to earth a little bit. I think UNI takes this one by a couple scores. And then the last one we've got is SDSU goes to the long road to Macomb, Illinois, to Western Illinois territory. And SDSU is favored by 23.5.
Oh, no.
I know, right? Oh, no is right. This might be. So,
no, don't like that.
Remember the last time we thought about, and we did bet against SDSU, was against Dixie State, and they ended up covering.
Worked out pretty well.
So,
I'll sacrifice my picks record.
I was going to say
every game for the rest of the year if I have to.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's no way you can take that many points. Other than thinking that we're going to be mad and we're just going to dominate. That's just a lot of points, especially with what Western Illinois has shown that they can do on offense and how they don't seem to give up. I mean, that's something that teams either have or don't have. Some teams just fold if they get down. This Western Illinois team does not seem like they do that.
No.
And so for them to be 23.5 point dogs, I think that's a pretty easy call to take Western Illinois with that many points.
Yeah, this game scares the shit out of me. I mean, just from winning the game perspective, because Western Illinois, I mean, we've been saying this for the last 2 weeks now. They're going to get somebody. And I'm not talking Indiana State get somebody. They're going to get somebody who's ranked and looking at getting a seed in the playoffs. They're going to get somebody. I mean, look what they did to Eastern Washington. Look what they did to Southern Illinois. I mean, both of those teams ended up escaping, just scaring, I mean, and then, yeah, like Dustin says, WIU with the points, weird stuff happens in Macomb. Yeah, there's something. I mean, we all have bad memories of Macomb. I think I'm going to take Western Illinois. Just they come back so hard every time. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we keep the starters in longer than we're comfortable with, just to try to avoid that.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you mentioned how that SIU game was the first kind of really actually complete game we played this year, which on one hand is a good thing, because in the other games we've taken them out because we're ahead by so much.
Full game with starters. Gotcha.
Right.
Yep.
And so I think that it would be good to have another full game, just to kind of, get our guys conditioned for that. Not that they can't handle it, but it's just like it's different when you play 3 games in a row that you're out in 2 or 3 quarters. I don't know. You might get a little tired in the fourth quarter and kind of look like we were a little tired in that fourth quarter. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind to see, I hope we win by a ton and we don't have to worry about it, but I wouldn't mind to see a, 10 to 14 point game just to kind of keep us on our toes and make our guys play a full game.
Well, and the other issue here is this is another up-tempo team.
Mm-hmm.
Like Southern. I mean, these are the 2 up-tempo sling it and go teams in the league. So, yeah, you don't want to let them get on a roll, because they get on a roll, you got a problem. I mean, Eastern Washington found that out. Southern Illinois found that out. Hell, Ball State almost found out, and that's not a bad FBS team. So, I don't think, anyways. I think they're a pretty solid MAC team. So, yeah, they're a spooky team, man. They got athletes all over the field, kind of like they you know what they remind me of? They remind me of Southern Illinois, like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah,
where they can score enough points and beat you and just scare you to death. And yes, we are. I feel we're a far better team, but they're entirely capable of giving us serious problems.
I would agree. A dangerous enough team that if we don't take care of business, they'll take us down to the wire, and especially at their place. We've said it's a tough place to get to. It's a weird road trip. Yeah, I mean, luckily it's early enough in the year we shouldn't have problems with snow and stuff. But yeah, I would not be surprised as far as like how I think this game's going to go in my prediction. I think we put up plenty of points. I'm thinking, honestly, we might even like 50 butter. 50 butter.
Sir,
are we talking?
Sir. Last time you decided that you had to throw out a points prediction, look what happened. Can you?
That was last time. Was the first time?
Yeah, cut the shit. All right.
All right. Well, I'll just say that I think our offense will be pushing a 50 butter.
The 50 butter burger.
Yeah.
We won't add the burger to it until you sponsor us, Culvers, you cheap bastards. I want my Scoopy tokens.
And I won't predict an actual score, but I'd say that we win by 14.
That's pretty fair. I think we win, but I'm taking Western Illinois. I'm going to take the points.
Oh, no doubt.
I mean, I'll take the points too, but our defense is too good to allow them to score a lot of points. So I don't think we put that many up. If it's going to be a close game, we don't put it many up, and if it's going to be not close, then we're just going to destroy them. So I'll bet it's my team and sacrifice my pick.
It's definitely a get right game for us in terms of cleaning stuff up. On defense, really getting home, making sure when you're in position, get the quarterback down, don't let him get away. And then on offense, let's just clean up the turnovers. Oladokin, he finally had an interception. The first one on the rewatch, it did look like it might have been a miscommunication thing where he thought a guy was going to stop and he just kept going. The second one was pretty ill-advised. It was one of those ones where he was rolling to the right and he kind of threw back across his body, which is like a cardinal sin if you're a quarterback. And so we gotta clean that up, especially down in the red zone. We've had real good success up until this game. So we just need to clean things up and get right and then move on with our season.
I agree 100%. Yeah, I mean, that's all exactly what needs to happen. Come out, play sharp, see the defense play with the violence that they had against like Indiana State. Not saying they didn't have it against Southern Illinois. It's just it was so much more apparent, I guess, in the Indiana State game. See the special teams get tightened up, in the kicking game.
Yes, kicking game definitely needs to get tightened up. We need to get those kicks up. Last thing I'll say is get Amar Johnson some carries. I love watching Pierce Strong go crazy on teams, but again, he can only take so many carries, and I think it keeps the team on their toes when you've got that change of pace. And I think the A team mentioned a bunch, but not having Isaiah Davis was glaringly obvious in that game against SIU. I think that game goes differently. I think we wear them down, and we're able to eat more clock. And I think we win that game pretty easily with Isaiah Davis, if I'm honest. So that, I mean, yeah, the Gardner injury is big too, because he may have been able to, play some, and I don't want to say better defense because our guys played pretty good defense against those receivers. But the Isaiah Davis injury right now is looming large. So hopefully we can get him back. I mean, both of them back sooner than later.
Yeah, it's kind of like punching and only in having two hands and then losing your big power hand. So then you just can hammer on them, and that can, it's very, very possible to beat a lot of people. But boy, it's sure nice to have two of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Chad, any thoughts on the game before we go?
I think we just need to take care of business, like y'all said, and let's hope we clean this one up. The penalties have gotten out of hand, and don't let the refs take us out of the game. Don't put it in their hands. Whether or not some of the calls in the last game were warranted, we had plenty that were, and that's not what beat us. So,
yeah, you don't want to leave it up to chance. I do like that comment is just cleaning that up too. I mean, like I said, I think we were kind of feeling ourselves, and I think we definitely got humbled. So hopefully that kind of rolls into less penalties as well, because I feel like that's kind of attributed to some of the penalties too. But
clean it up game. Let's call it our clean it up game.
That sounds good. Other than that, Brendan, you got any parting thoughts?
Yeah, we never ask people to do this, but I'm going to bring it up and ask people to anyways. If you enjoy what we do, enjoy listening, things like that, do us a favor, share us around, share the A-team around. We've got 4,000 some followers on Twitter and the Jackrabbit Illustrated account. We've got like 1,000 maybe on Facebook. Share it to your Facebook page. Share it to your friends. Leave reviews, likes. Shares are huge. It doesn't necessarily make us money or anything like that. Money we do make here, so people are aware we donate to the team. But we sure would appreciate it if you guys did that. And if you go to our sponsors, if you go to Drake's Place, if you go to Cottonwood Bistro, let them know, you heard about them on the account, just like Kurt Lickus did. So that's much appreciated. If you guys do that, that really helps us in being able to grow what this is and improve the equipment and things we have and how we're able to do this and do new things. We're working on coming out with merchandise for people to be able to get, things like that, just to make a better product for you guys. So if you listen and you enjoy, and give her a share on Facebook, we'd appreciate it. Leave a review on Spotify, iTunes, whatever. We
like,
really
share, subscribe on YouTube.
Right. Not to go all, all streamer on you guys here. And we do appreciate everyone who listens. I think sometimes we forget and don't bring that up, but we appreciate the comments. We appreciate all you guys talking, leaving the comments, interacting, and listening.
Speaking of our awesome sponsors, I don't know, is Ryan Drake, is that a relative to Robert? I don't know. If it's
close enough, count it.
Yeah. I can't remember what his son's name is. He needs it or not. But he does have a good point. Oladokun needs to avoid negative plays and throw it away if it's not there. Yeah, agreed. He's been great about it so far. He's had I don't know, a few negative plays this game, but I got faith he's going to clean it up and do what Chad said, have a clean it up game. So with that, thanks everybody, and as always, go big, go blue,
Go
Jacks.
Jacks.
Oh, God, that was